Welcome to your Health Facts. Today we're going on a deep dive into the world of parasites. You know those tiny organisms that can sometimes live inside us? We'll be looking at 7 common signs that might indicate their presence. And then we'll discuss ways to support your body's natural defenses.
A lot of people probably have parasites, and they don't even know it. Most of the time, they're harmless, they don't cause any symptoms. But if they multiply too much, you might see some warning signs that you might want to look into.
So what are these 7 warning signs we should be looking out for?
Well, one of the most common signs that you might have a parasite infection is fatigue. If you're tired all the time, even after you've had enough sleep, it could be that parasites are eating your nutrients, and that leaves you feeling drained. Another sign is rashes, like your immune system is trying to fight off the parasites, and that causes skin irritation or these unexplained rashes. Another thing to watch out for is if you're losing weight for no reason. Parasites can actually eat a lot of the food you're taking in, so you might lose weight even if you're eating normally. That can be pretty worrying if you're not trying to lose weight. And you haven't changed your diet or exercise routine. On top of that, having parasites in your gut can make you feel uncomfortable and bloated. They trigger immune responses, and that leads to inflammation and digestive issues. You end up with that feeling of being full and uncomfortable.
Here's a sign you might not know about. Teeth grinding, or what they call bruxism. We don't fully understand why, but studies have shown that teeth grinding can be linked to parasites. And then there's itching, especially anal itching. That can be really annoying. Some parasites irritate the area around your anus, so that's something to watch out for.
And lastly, we have anxiety and brain fog. If you have a parasite imbalance, it can mess with the connection between your gut and your brain, and that can lead to anxiety, trouble concentrating, and brain fog. It really shows you how connected everything in our bodies is, and how parasites can affect our overall well-being. To understand this relationship between us and parasites a bit better, there's this fascinating theory called the Red Queen hypothesis. It suggests that because we're always battling parasites and pathogens, it's actually made us stronger over time.
So it's like an ongoing arms race.
Exactly. Both the host, which is us, and the parasite have to constantly evolve to survive.
So as parasites figure out ways to avoid our immune systems, our bodies have to adapt to fight back.
That's right. It's this never-ending cycle of adapting and counter-adapting. And this constant struggle actually helps our immune system to get stronger in the long run.
That's pretty amazing. But how do parasites manage to survive inside us? They must have some pretty clever tricks up their sleeves.
Oh, they do. They've evolved some pretty impressive ways to survive. One of the most amazing things is how they can actually avoid our immune system altogether. Some parasites can disguise themselves using proteins that are similar to the ones found in our bodies, so our immune system doesn't even recognize them as a threat.
It's like they're wearing an invisibility cloak.
Exactly. And to make things even trickier, some parasites can mess with our body's ability to absorb vitamin D. And vitamin D is really important for our immune system.
So by disrupting our vitamin D absorption, they're weakening our defenses.
And exactly. It makes them a lot harder to get rid of. And here's another fascinating thing. Some parasites can actually manipulate our behavior.
Really? Like how?
Take Toxoplasma gondii, for example.
Yeah.
This parasite can infect rodents, like mice. And studies have shown that it can actually change a mouse's behavior, makes them less afraid of cats.
So they're more likely to get eaten. And that helps the parasite to survive because it needs to be inside a cat to complete its life cycle.
Exactly. It's a pretty incredible survival strategy, isn't it? But that's not all. Some parasites can also go dormant inside our bodies, so they're just kind of hanging out, waiting for our immune system to weaken. Then they become active again.
That's pretty sneaky.
It is. It allows them to stay inside us for a long time, even when conditions aren't ideal for them to grow and reproduce.
So even microbes that are normally harmless can turn parasitic.
Right. It all depends on the circumstances, like E. coli, for instance. It usually lives peacefully in our gut, but if it somehow makes its way into the small intestine, it can become parasitic and cause all sorts of digestive problems.
Wow, that's pretty adaptable. It really highlights the constant back and forth between us and microbes. So we've talked about the warning signs and the survival strategies. Now let's focus on how we can help our bodies fight back. Herbal remedies have been used for ages to deal with parasites. And some herbs are well known for their parasite-fighting properties.
Like wormwood extract, clove, and black walnut extract. People have used these for a long time to create an environment that parasites don't like.
And what about garlic? I've heard that garlic is good for fighting parasites.
It is. It's a really powerful weapon. Just adding a few cloves of garlic to your diet every day can be really beneficial. Garlic has compounds that can disrupt parasite activity and help your body get rid of them naturally. And don't forget about pumpkin seeds.
Pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have compounds that can help to paralyze parasites, so they're easier for your body to eliminate.
Ah, I never knew that.
And of course, we can't forget about the importance of a healthy gut microbiome.
Right. That's our first line of defense.
Exactly. And one of the best ways to support a healthy gut microbiome is to eat fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and kefir. These foods are packed with beneficial bacteria that help to crowd out harmful parasites and keep your gut in balance.
So fermented foods are good for us in more ways than one.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And as we mentioned before, vitamin D is crucial for a strong immune system.
Especially during the winter months when we're not getting as much sunlight. That's right. So it's a good idea to consider taking a vitamin D supplement, especially during the winter. And there's another tool that can be really helpful, TKA. It's a type of bile salt that can help to cleanse the bile duct, which is a major pathway for parasites to be eliminated from the body.
And it's best to take TKA on an empty stomach, right?
Yes, that's right. But remember, we're not aiming to completely wipe out all parasites. That's probably not even possible. The goal is to maintain a healthy balance within our bodies.
So a healthy lifestyle is key.
Exactly. A strong immune system, fueled by a healthy lifestyle, is your best defense against these ever-present organisms. Eating nutrient-rich foods, managing stress, and getting enough sleep are all important for a robust immune system.
It's all about working with our bodies to keep things in check.
Exactly. So, you want to get these good bacteria into your diet. There are a lot of really tasty ways to do that. Fermented foods,
Yeah, like what? Give us some examples.
sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, even yogurt. And there are other tangy treats out there that are full of beneficial bacteria.
I love all of those.
And these foods, they bring a lot of different probiotics into your gut. And that helps keep those harmful microbes under control.
So, if you're looking for a way to fight those parasites, maybe give fermented foods a try.
Definitely. And there's more. We've got herbs too. Wormwood, clove, and black walnut.
Yeah, those have been used for a long time, right?
Right. Traditional medicine has used them for their anti-parasitic properties. And you can get them in all sorts of forms. Capsules, tinctures, teas. It really depends what works for you. But if you're thinking of adding new herbs to your routine, it's always best to check with a healthcare professional, especially if you're pregnant or breastfeeding or if you're taking any medication.
Good advice.
And don't forget about your liver. That's so important.
Why is the liver so important when we're talking about parasites?
Well, it's a detoxification powerhouse. It filters out waste from your body, and that includes waste from parasites.
So we want to support our liver to help it do its job.
Exactly. And a good way to do that is to eat foods that help the liver. Leafy green vegetables, beets, artichokes.
Oh, good stuff.
They are. Now, here's something people often forget about. Hydration.
Right, drinking enough water.
It's so crucial for everything, really, but especially when you're trying to get rid of parasites. Water helps flush toxins out of your system, keeps everything moving smoothly in your digestive system.
So how much water should we be drinking?
Aim for at least 8 glasses a day. That will really help your body detoxify naturally. And if you're feeling kind of sluggish or bloated, maybe try a gentle cleanse.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those.
There are lots of different cleanses out there, so it's important to find one that works for you. And again, talking to a healthcare professional is always a good idea. They can guide you towards the right cleanse.
Makes sense.
It does. And most importantly, listen to your body. It will tell you what it needs.
Yeah, if something feels off, don't ignore it. Talk to a doctor. You want to rule out anything serious. Now, let's get back to those parasites for a minute. I mean, they're pretty amazing, right? The way they've adapted to survive inside us.
They are. It's incredible. One of the most remarkable things is how they can avoid our immune system. They're like masters of disguise.
How do they do that?
Well, some of them coat themselves in proteins that are similar to the ones in our bodies, so our immune system just sees them as harmless.
So they basically trick our bodies into thinking they're not a threat.
Exactly. It's pretty ingenious. And as we talked about before, some of them can even manipulate our behavior.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? But it just shows you how sophisticated they've become, this constant battle between parasites and their hosts.
Yeah, the evolutionary arms race. It's fascinating.
It really is. So we've talked about the adaptations, but how do we stop them from getting in there in the first place? Well, one of the most important things is hygiene.
Keeping clean.
Exactly. Wash your hands thoroughly after using the restroom, after handling raw meat, after being around animals. It's so important.
Right. And washing fruits and veggies before we eat them.
Yes, especially if you're eating them raw. And if you're traveling to places where parasites are more common, take extra precautions.
Like what?
Drink bottled water. Don't use ice cubes unless you're sure the water is safe.
Oh, yeah.
And be careful about food from street vendors.
Good advice.
And if you've got pets, make sure you keep them on a regular deworming schedule. Talk to your vet about it. Pets can carry parasites that can be passed on to humans.
So it's about protecting our furry friends and ourselves.
Absolutely. And lastly, remember, be aware of the signs. If something feels off, get medical advice. Early detection and treatment are key to preventing complications.
Always a good idea.
It is. And a strong immune system is your best weapon against parasites.
So all that healthy living stuff we keep talking about.
Yes. It really does make a difference. Now, there's been a lot of new research on parasites recently, and one thing that's really interesting is the connection between parasites and the gut microbiome.
Right. That whole ecosystem in our gut.
Exactly. And it's becoming clear that the types of bacteria we have in our gut can actually affect how susceptible we are to parasite infections. It's pretty amazing.
So our gut bacteria can either help us fight parasites or make us more vulnerable.
Exactly. And there's even more research looking into whether parasites might trigger or worsen certain autoimmune diseases.
That's pretty intense.
It is. It's a really fascinating area of research. And it could completely change the way we think about these diseases.
So we're learning more and more about the role of parasites in our health all the time.
We are, and there's even research looking into using parasites to treat certain diseases.
What, like using parasites as medicine?
Well, kind of. Some researchers are looking into using parasitic worms to treat inflammatory bowel disease. It's controversial, of course.
Yeah, that does sound a bit out there.
It does. But it highlights how these organisms can affect us in ways we never expected.
So parasites can be both harmful and helpful.
Exactly. It's amazing how complex they are. And as we continue to learn more about them, who knows what we'll discover.
The world of parasites is full of surprises.
Yeah.
It's amazing, isn't it, how these tiny things can have such a big impact on how we feel.
Yeah. It really makes you think. We're all connected. We're part of this big ecosystem. And the health of the world around us affects our own health.
It's all connected.
Exactly. So today, we talked about the 7 warning signs of parasites and those clever ways they've adapted to survive. And we looked at some natural ways to boost our body's defenses.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. Those parasite survival strategies, those are pretty fascinating.
They are. And the research is really interesting. It's changing the way we understand human health. But there's always more to learn. Even the smallest creatures can teach us a lot.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up, where can our listeners go to find out more about all this?
Well, for more information on this topic and other health stuff, head over to our website, yourhealthfacts.com. You'll find a ton of resources there to help you on your journey to better health.
Great. So that's all for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.